It is time for my fantasy Premier League team, guys. Every year, I love to share with you my FPL team. Every year, I'm awful at it. Is this year going to be different? Maybe so. It's very, very difficult with FPL because it scores differently to So Rare, which is a game I'm actually very good at and play all the time. However, I thought I've been asked a whole bunch over the last week or two to show my team. Don't judge me too harshly on it. Like I said, I'm bad at FPL, right? But I actually think I've got a legit team this time around. And I get asked to make a league. So I do have a league for you guys to join. It's called NepentheZ FPL. And if we click on options here, invite people to join this league. There you go. There's the code. MYU1QA. I will put the link in the description and pinned comment as well. But it is there. So the Premier League is back, which is amazing. I'm so excited. I'm so ready for it. You know, it's very weird because we had international tournament this summer too, actually, with Copa America as well. And yeah, it just didn't scratch the footballing itch. You know, I actually enjoyed watching the MLS and parts of the League's Cup more than some of the Euros and some of the Copa America. You know, even though England made it to the final, that was amazing. We just weren't great and it was hard to watch. So club football for me is clear, and I'm very happy the Premier League is back. And I am an Arsenal fan, and I do have some Spurs players in my lineup. So again, don't judge me. I'm going to talk you through my team. I'm going to talk you through my thought process, my understanding of how fantasy FPL or fantasy Premier League works, and how it's different in many regards as well. For example, I don't have him in my team, but Rodri from Manchester City on So Rare is the best scorer in the league by far. Yet on FPL isn't a great scorer because the scoring matrices are different, of course. However, I have gone for David Raya in goal, as you can see there. I've got him in goal. You know, most clean sheets last season by some distance. Arsenal are superb defensively, and we've only got better this season with Calafiori joining and Urian Timber effectively joining. You know, he's played like 2 games for us because he was injured for the whole of last year. And I think David Raya is just a really, really good option. And if you look at last season, he actually didn't get as many points as the year before, but 135 points, I feel like it's decent. And my backup goalkeeper, I really like, and I potentially might swap my goalkeepers just in total in general and get rid of Raya, because obviously save points are quite important. And when you keep a clean sheet, you don't always make a save, which is a bit of a problem. On the back line there, as you can see, we have got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Saucy Pedro, and Emerson. I've gone for a 3-5-2. I know Trent is like a quote-unquote cheat code in FPL. Last season was one of his worst scoring seasons. But last season, obviously, he spent a little bit of time on the sidelines injured, had some kind of like crisis of confidence. But I feel like with the new manager and just how good I know Trent is, that he was an absolute must-have. 7 million for him. What does this mean, guys? Help me. Like some of the UI here is new to when I played FPL like properly. What's game week 1, 2, and game week 2, 2, and game week 3, 3 mean? Is that like, I don't even want to guess what it might be. Ranking for defenders, though, he's one of the best. Form doesn't have any. Fixtures, we got that coming up. What happens if I click on fixtures? We've got FDR, fixture difficulty rating. There we go. So I guess 1 is like very easy, 2 is easy, 3 is medium, 4 is difficult, and 5 is the hardest fixture in the history of the career of the card or the player, because 5 away to Arsenal makes a lot of sense. So I've gone for Trent Alexander-Arnold, lots of set pieces, lots of opportunities to get points, assists, goals, mostly assists. And of course, if he does keep playing that kind of inverted role or in the midfield a little bit more, he's going to be a bit of a cheat code. I've also gone for Saucy Pedro, another player that actually spent a little bit of time injured last season for Spurs. But when he plays, he's on some corners. I don't know if he's on all corners, and especially now Maddison's back from injury as well. I don't know if he's going to be on all corners at all or any corners at all, but he was taking set pieces last season a little bit, which is obviously really nice to try and get the assists, and especially with Solanke there now. I think set pieces could be a big way to score for Spurs this season. However, he still picked up 136 points last season. It says he started 35 Premier League games last season, but I was pretty sure that he was injured. Yeah, I suppose he did start that many games. Fair enough. However, I just really like Saucy Pedro as an option. I know in the Matrix in So Rare, sorry, beg your pardon, the Matrix in FPL kind of benefits and lends kindly towards fullbacks and wingers because goals and assists are kind of like priority, aren't they? And when we look at Saucy Pedro's fixture list, I mean, Leicester, Everton, nice. Newcastle, Arsenal, difficult. But then Brentford, Brighton, West Ham, like not too many, right? Ridiculously difficult lineups. And then my third defender, I went really, really light on defence. And listen, this might end up coming to cost me massively as the season goes on. I'm hopeful that it's not going to. Again, I like forgive me if my strategy is woeful, because this is the sort of thing that would work exceptionally well in other fantasy games that I've played. But my third defender, I went for Emerson. I believe Emerson has got the season ahead of him. I believe he's going to be starting a lot. He didn't score too many points last season. West Ham, after losing Declan Rice, weren't quite as good, but they've made some nice signings, and he was one of the cheapest next best options. There was a few other players I could have gone with. I don't expect miracles out of Emerson, but it actually might be a good kind of like alternative. Not many people will have Emerson, or maybe they will. Team selected by, 75 people of 202. Why 202? Oh, he's 75th of 202. So not many people actually use him. Influence, creativity, and threat, 19 of 202. See, listen, I don't mind that. He could be a good like flex pick. If he goes off any particular game week, I might just do very, very well in that game week because not many people will have him. So Emerson is my third defender. My midfield, I believe, is stacked and cracked. I know there are options, and we'll get to it in a moment, that I haven't got, that I know that people like. But I have gone for Bukayo Saka, of course. Declan Rice, of course. Emil Smith-Rowe, of course. Heung-min Son and Mohamed Salah. Now, obviously, Salah is like one of the absolute best scorers on FPL, even on So Rare as well. Absolutely. He's amazing. Probably everyone has him. But you got to rack those points up, haven't you? We've gone for a bit of a differential in maybe Emil Smith-Rowe and a bit of a differential in maybe Emerson. And I've got a bit of a differential up front as well. But you can't not have Mohamed Salah. Again, Schlott, Liverpool's new manager, he is a very attacking manager. I expect Salah to be heavily involved and heavily influenced like he always does. And so Salah is just like a bit of a no-brainer. Same with Bukayo Saka. 226 points for him last season, only 211 for Mohamed Salah. Bukayo Saka still a midfielder, surprisingly. I thought he might have been a forward this year. But, he's Arsenal's main guy, isn't he? Him, Ødegaard, and Declan Rice. I couldn't fit all of them in whilst also taking David Raya. And it was just hard to fit them all in anyway. But we all know Bukayo Saka's pedigree. He takes corners from the attacking right side. He takes some free kicks, especially from the right side. Not really direct to free kicks. He takes penalties. He gets involved in a whole bunch of goals and assists. As you can see there, 28 goal and assist contributions last season. We know his pedigree. We know he's brilliant. I've gone for Declan Rice. Now, when I showed my team on X, people couldn't understand. I got told to take out Declan Rice for Nkunku, for example. And one of the reasons why I don't like Nkunku is because he's only got 2 Premier League starts so far for Chelsea. He's got a really horrific injury kind of list whilst being at Chelsea. And Chelsea have about 7,000 starting players. So even though Nkunku might be quality talent, I just don't know. And I wouldn't want to risk it on him. Whereas for Declan Rice, one thing that I think a lot of people that aren't super heavy Arsenal fans or just really into kind of like following the status quo or whatever is look at Declan Rice's points upgrade from 22-23 when he was at West Ham to 23-24 when he was at Arsenal. Same, less minutes played, 1 extra game started, 3 more goals and 6 more assists for Declan Rice. And that is because Rice is taking set pieces from the attacking left-hand side. He takes our corners on the left side. He's very good at them. I wouldn't be surprised if he eventually became the set piece taker because he's very good. And because he's moved from the 6 role where he's a lot of defensive work to the 8 role where it's a lot of offensive work, his goals and assist tally is just growing. And I think this season is going to be even better with somebody like Calafiori behind him that enables Rice to do a lot more offensive work, because I think Calafiori is just going to be a better defender than Zinchenko was last season. I think we can see Rice pushing up and breaking that 200 points barrier this time around. A lot of people think about Rice as a defensive midfielder. And so, again, I know that the way the scoring matrix works, goals and assists are like pivotal. And that's why wingers are favoured. But I think for £6.5 million, Declan Rice is an absolute banker card to have in a team. And maybe it's a bit of Arsenal bias. I'm fully ready to take that on my shoulders, but it's what I want. It's what I've got. I've gone for Emile Smith-Rowe. Now, this is definitely a bit of Arsenal bias, but it is because I am fully confident that if Emile Smith-Rowe can stay fit, he will be insane for Fulham. He's already had a really good pre-season for them. I think he scored a goal, maybe 2 goals. He's got a tough opening fixture, of course, against Manchester United, but then he's got Leicester and Ipswich. If this man stays fit, he is going to absolutely slam points. Not necessarily so much goals, although look at that season where he played the whole season for us during the COVID year there, 10 goals, 2 assists. I think we're going to see a lot of assists from Emile Smith-Rowe this season at Fulham. And, if Fulham can you don't expect them to do much against maybe like the Big Six, but against the mid-table teams, the bottom-end teams, I think Fulham could be very, very good this season. And more specifically, I think Emile Smith-Rowe will be the best player on Fulham. And I think he will just be influencing everything. And so, again, for £5.5 million, I think he's a really good player to start and get a lot of good differential points, because I know people won't have him. I know people won't really have Rice. If we look there, 22 in terms of teams selected by, only 6.3% teams have selected him. In terms of Smith-Rowe, wow, actually 15.6% teams have selected him. Fair enough. Heung-min Son is the final midfielder, of course. How could he not be? Just insane contributions for him every season. And, even though he scored a lot of goals and got a lot of assists this season just gone, I think with Dominic Solanke up front, Son and Kane's link-up was insane. And Spurs kind of missed that a bit last season. They got some good players with Brennan Johnson, with Kulusevski. Richarlison's a bit of a hit and miss because you just don't know if he's going to be fit, if he's going to be mentally there. So, having Solanke up front now, I think is going to be amazing for Heung-min Son. But I also think it's going to be amazing for Dominic Solanke. And so we have to go with Son because he's just so elite. And then as you can see by the forwards here, and again, don't judge me for having 3 Spurs players and 3 Arsenal players, right? But I think Dominic Solanke is going to be a super striker. I think he's going to play his way into the England team in Spurs. Look at that last season for Bournemouth. 19 goals, 3 assists. The season before, where they almost all got relegated as well, 6 goals, 10 assists. Like, this guy is a machine in front of goal, whether it's goals or assists. He got 175 points last season. That's incredible at Bournemouth. I think he's going to do way better than that at Spurs. And I know Erling Haaland is the obvious choice. I think Erling Haaland is not the greatest choice for me personally. I know goals are so pivotal on FPL, whereas only goals isn't very good on So Rare. I think Solanke's got goals and assists in him. I think Saucy Pedro assisting Solanke. I think Heung-min Son assisting Solanke. This trio here, I really, really, really like, because they've got a lot of synergy together with the way that they're going to play on the field. And then my last player was Isaac. Again, he had a bit of an injury spell last season, but after coming back from that injury spell, he was brilliant at the back end of last season. I did try and have Bruno Guimaraes in my midfield. I was $500,000 away from having him. And if I put Bruno in, it just made somewhere else awful. So I went for a bit of a better balance. And I think Isaac is again going to have a great time this season. Look at that, only 27 starts last season, 21 goals and 4 assists. That's incredible. If he can play 35 or more games and not actually spend a third of the season out injured, or just under a third of the season out injured, he could end up hitting 25 plus goals, 8, maybe 6, 8 assists, and break that 200-point barrier, which would be absolutely incredible, of course. So that is my starting 11. It's very top heavy. Now, I've got one good player on the bench, and that is Muric. I think that now at home to Liverpool is not a great option for Muric, but I've been following Muric since he was playing in Turkey. And then, of course, he came to Burnley in the Championship. he's got an error in him. He's got more than an error in him. He's very error prone, but he is an incredible shot stopper. He will get a lot of save points. He might not get too many clean sheets, but there will be certain games where, like, you know, we've got Arsenal away to City or away to Liverpool, where Raya won't be the flex pick or the best pick, and so Muric will be the one that goes in there. That's what I'm aiming for. And then on the bench, honestly, guys, I've just got cheap players that I hope will get game time. We've got Charlie Taylor now at... Is he at Southampton still? Yeah, he is at Southampton. Charlie Taylor at Southampton. 25 starts last season. I don't know if he's going to start in the Premier League. I presume he will. We've got Tuanzebe, who's now moved to Ipswich. And he, in my opinion, will start for Ipswich. And then we've got Bijo for Forest. And you can see here that I've literally just got like cheap players that I kind of hope will start. I don't expect much out of them. I don't know if like the strategy on FPL is to have a sick bench or have a more well-balanced team. I'm just going for the starting lineup. I really like my starting 11. There is only one player on this team that I'm a bit cautious of, and that is Emerson. If there's a time where I can eventually like get him out and get somebody else better in, or if somebody's having like a bit of a good start to the season, first 3 or 4 games, and they're within the budget, then I'll try and get Emerson out. But I honestly think I've got a team here that could destroy over the course of the season, as long as it stays away from injuries and suspensions and things like that. However, that is the team. So let me know what you think down below. Of course, we've got the first game week coming up, Man United against Fulham. So I am going to have straight away, and hilarious for me to not have any Man United players actually, but I'm going to have straight away Emile Smith-Rowe playing tonight. So we'll get a bit of a better view on him. He'll be playing on Sky Sports, which would be great. And then tomorrow, we've got Ipswich, Liverpool, Arsenal, Wolves. Who else have I got players from? Newcastle against Southampton. We've got West Ham against Villa. And then where's Newcastle? Oh yeah, Newcastle against Southampton. And then Spurs have got Leicester away. So even my opening games got really nice options. You know, we've got Spurs against newly promoted Leicester. Arsenal against a pretty poor Wolves. Newcastle against newly promoted Southampton, Liverpool against newly promoted Ipswich. I could honestly have an absolutely banging start to the season. So, again, try and be as kind as you can in the comments about my thoughts on my team and your thoughts on my team. But if you do want to join the league, the link again is there, MYU1QA. Go and get involved. And what have we got? How many have we got so far? I don't even know how many are in there at the moment. There's a lot already, but go and get involved, guys. That is going to be the end of the video for today. As always, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you next time. I'm out. Peace.